Hi, and welcome back to our video series on the care and keeping of houseplants. In this video, I'm going to talk about where to get plants, so pros and cons of your options for buying, and also a little bit about plant sharing. If you're not sure what plants to look for yet, check out last week's video with Mariah on picking the right houseplant for you. So there are three main categories of places to buy plants: big box stores, greenhouses, and online retailers. We'll start with the most common one, which is big box stores. So these days, all sorts of large retailers carry plants. Most people know that hardware and home improvement stores like Lowe's or True Value or Menards will carry garden plants for outside in the summer, but a lot of them also carry houseplants all year round. Some of the grocery or convenience stores will also carry plants, especially if they have a floral section. So this plant I found at Trader Joe's, and this one I found at Schnucks, and they are a couple of my favorite plants. Some of the larger department stores like Walmart or IKEA are also now starting to carry more plants since houseplants are pretty popular right now. The main pro to the big box stores is easy access. So instead of making a special trip, you can just swing by the plant section while you're picking up your other things at Home Depot or while you're getting your groceries and see what they have. Another pro is cost. So this isn't necessarily always true, but as with most things, since the larger stores are selling more stock, then they're able to keep costs down. One of the big cons with large stores is the lack of expertise. So again, that's not always true, but often they don't have a staff member that's specifically trained to answer questions about plants. And along those same lines, they're usually not trained to take care of the needs of individual plants, so another con can be poor care. And this applies to everywhere, but when you are selecting a plant at one of the stores, keep an eye out for rotting leaves or really dry soil or other signs that they could be in poor health. Overwatering in particular can be a problem in the large stores, so keep an eye out for really moist soil. The second option for buying plants is greenhouses or nurseries. So here in the St. Louis area, we have an excellent variety of greenhouses that are spread out all over the region. Some of them do stay open year-round, but many of them will take a break for the winter, so always make sure to check online for their hours and see if they're open before you go. One pro about greenhouses is that since they primarily sell plants and plant accessories, they consistently have a wider variety. So if there's something specific you have in mind or a plant that's a little less common, the greenhouse is a good place to start. The other big pro, especially for new gardeners, is better care and expertise. So virtually all greenhouses have staff that are specifically trained to keep each individual plant happy. They also are usually happy to help you pick one out and can answer any questions that you have. The two cons of greenhouses are basically the opposite of big box stores. So often they will require a special trip, sometimes a little bit out of the way. One thing I sometimes suggest is planning a plant shopping day where you go to 3 or 4 greenhouses in a row. Sometimes greenhouses can also have slightly higher prices, usually because they're a small business. But during the pandemic, a lot of us have been trying to shop local and small, so this could be a good way to do it. Your final option for buying plants is through online retailers. So with this, I'm including large retailers like Amazon, as well as individual sellers that work through sites like Etsy or Facebook. There's a lot of options here, so I'll just touch on a few key points. One pro of buying online is variety. So if there's an uncommon or a rare plant that you've had your eye on, it's easy to do an internet search and find somebody that's selling it. This is also a good option if you are currently isolating at home due to health concerns, since you don't have to go out to a store. Online plant shopping does require some caution, however, since you don't often get to see the exact plant that you're buying, and transit can be very damaging to the plant. Make sure that you carefully read the details of the listing so you know exactly what you're getting before you buy. It's common for an online seller to use photos of a larger plant as an example, and sometimes the buyer doesn't realize that they're getting a cutting or a small starter plant instead. Also be aware that many retailers have different return policies for live plants, so make sure that you understand the limitations and the costs of returning before you buy. It's a little bit less risky to buy through local exchange sites like Facebook Marketplace. That way you can filter your results to just local sellers, and you can see the plant before you commit to it. This also eliminates the risk of damage during shipping. Speaking of local exchanges, one final option for getting more plants is to trade with other plant lovers. So a lot of plants will grow pretty easily from a cutting of just the stem. This is called propagation. Usually I'll have several that are rooting at a time. This one has been in water for about 2 months, and you can see that there's a little baby plant growing out of the roots here at the bottom. Many plants, especially succulents or aloe, will also put out pups, so little mini versions of the main plants. You can see these little guys coming off of the side here, and those are pretty easy to separate and plant in their own soil. So talk to your friends and family that are into houseplants and see if one of them would be willing to give you a cutting or a small starter plant that you can grow yourself. I wish you good luck in finding plants that you love. As always, leave us a comment if you have any questions. Thanks for watching and happy planting!